Welcome back to Indie Ball Nation. And if you are watching video right now, just be quiet about the fact that it might be squinting a little bit. My wife and I have a bad habit of laying down on the couch and watching something at night, which then naturally turns into completely falling asleep, which then turns into me waking up at like 4 in the morning, like, what's happening? Contacts still in, a disaster. So contacts are out right now because I don't want my eyes to just give up on working. But that also means I'm recording a video while squinting at a screen, which is classic Ryan. Why not put on glasses? Well, because the glare looks dumb, and I'd rather just have my face look dumb. Let's not break into logic here. Let's get to it. I did wake up from that dream, by the way, and think about something weird. I had a dream, and that dream was going to be huge for anybody who's in the Delaware area, which there are no indie ball teams over there, so that's tough. But the quick sidebar here is, the dream was that I was at this place called Kahunaville in Wilmington, and it was right across from the Wilmington Blue Rock Stadium. So there's your obscure baseball reference. And my dad and I would go like before or after, probably before, as I learned more, before Wilmington Blue Rocks games. And it was like an arcade, and I would play around and probably burn off some energy and then maybe sit still a little better for the game. I don't know. But the vibe was great. I remember some air hockey happening. Fun stuff. Maybe some bubble hockey, if I'm being honest. Semantics. Good times all around. Realistically, probably just walked around, and I walked around and looked at things that lit up and was excited. I'm not sure how many games were played, to be fair. Anyway, looking it up, it was crazy. I mean, it was wild. But the number one thing that was wild to me was I realized it was a nightclub. Apparently, it was like a barcade that was kind of ahead of its time. Complete with... Okay, Kahunaville. For those of you watching now, you're going to get a treat. For those of you just listening, Google Kahunaville in Wilmington. It was amazing. But you'll see, yeah, like we're looking at an article about what it used to be. This is from 2023. It's long closed at this point. But there were like bartenders fully going, a chef, like a huge bar, big volcano out front that's at Kahunaville that you like walk right by. There were like talking tiki things, if I remember right. I don't necessarily remember that. It got torn down, sadness all around. I think it burned down as well. I mean, yeah, it did. That happened. So, you know, when you got to get rid of the nightclub, you got to get rid of the nightclub. No, I'm saying you won't want to burn that thing. Get that insurance. Anyway, all that to say, I have a very clear memory, though I did not remember the bar situation, which maybe is a great indicator of who my dad was as a parent, being like, let's not. However, I have a strong memory as a child of the 1997, yes, 97 Carolina League pre-All-Star Game festivities, which took place at Kahunaville. I believe there were some players who were definitely mascots there. And as a kid, I know I was very excited to be there. I think there were some bangers at that one, too, honestly. I think like Carlos Beltran might have been involved. Might have been. D. Brown could have been on that one. And I remember, not a ton, but I remember the Danville 97's mascot. The Danville 97s, who are they? Great question. One-year team, who you will now see them, at least proof of it on the Wikipedia article, for those of you watching along. One-year team ahead of the Myrtle Beach Pelicans coming into existence. They have what I can only describe as the most Carolina League logo possible, especially for a one-year team, which is Danville script, 97s, sort of just like written in like a basic font to the right corner of the logo, bottom corner, and then a train on the bottom left corner with little baseball wheels. Cute. I like it. Could have gone well with the kids. I don't know. But yeah, season didn't go great. Belonged to the Braves. But they had a mascot who I can only describe as like I think it was some sort of hobo train conductor. I don't think hobo was the vibe they were going for, but it's the vibe they hit. And it was weird, man. It was weird. And I remember having nightmares as like a 4-year-old. Like early memory. This has got to be one of my earliest memories, you know? So yeah. All that to say. Welcome to Indie Ball Nation. Yesterday, if you were here, deep dive into the hypothetical road trip to every indie ballpark in 2025. It was a little dry, a little Google Earth heavy, a little just step by step, you know. I decided today I want to go with something a little bit lighter, and then I immediately got into the weeds on like a deep dive into like the history of a partial scandal, partial debacle. So not doing that today. No, that will probably be coming tomorrow. So look forward to that. I think it's going to be interesting. And I think it's going to become a 2-parter, probably the follow-up. Today's discussion will not be about Kahunaville, not about the Danville 97s, but about something equally relevant, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Okay, put yourself, if you are not acquainted with college football, the quick version of this is end of the year historically, before the last decade, the teams, there would be a championship game, which there used to even not be, but we're not going that far back. But then there would be some bowl games. We're going back far enough, what we're going to call it some, for like the top teams or teams that won their conference or teams that were invited, different ways to get into the bowl games, like the Orange Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. You know the ones. You were around. The Rose Bowl, I famously almost forgot about. So they were the big draw for the college football teams in lieu of playoff. Then playoff happened, 4-team playoff, and they would assign the playoff games to like the bowl games or vice versa. So like one year, the one semifinal game, because there were only 4 teams, would be the Rose Bowl, the other would be the Sugar Bowl, then the next year it would be the Fiesta Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. Okay. But the unintended consequence was the other bowl games became more like the NIT, and in a very real way, because if you're a college basketball person, you know the NIT used to be the main tournament for college basketball. Then March Madness started, and NIT became, you're invited to come play if you didn't make March Madness. So it was like a consolation tournament. In the same way, the other bowl games became the consolation bowl games. Less of, if you were a team that just barely qualified and made it into a bowl by winning enough games, 6 games usually, it's more of a like, we earned this. But usually it was not that. It was usually like well, this is all right. This is a nice little something at the end of the year after we didn't quite make the big goal. So it sort of chipped away at the importance and the excitement around these bowl games. Then you have the added trend of guys sitting out the bowl game. It used to be a very big deal to play the bowl game, then it became less. You have a lot of stuff on film. People have a lot of info about you. They got the combine coming up. Guys didn't want to get injured before potential an NFL draft. There we go. So guys would start to sit out. Top players, in fact, the ones who had NFL prospects. Then that chipped away a little more at these bowl games. So now what you ended up having was this sort of weird situation where these bowl games are now like everything has a sponsor on it. Talking Duke's Mayo Bowl. We're out here. And people don't care, especially now where it's a 12-team playoff. So you really are dealing with the consolation prizes at this point. And the new feel is they become this December into January almost white noise if you're not one of the main bowl games. It's on TV, you throw it on. It's something to have on TV when you're like kind of not trying to talk to your in-laws type of thing. Just you can kind of think of the if you have a dad who liked to go to the family event, not saying I did, and just sort of chill and hang and watch whatever sporting event was on TV, and then sort of just hop in when they were needed, maybe some cleanup duty. Okay, it was my dad. Shout out. Big day for my dad on the pod. That the bowl games were the good one for that. So, but that's not really fun or exciting or a way to draw eyes or money. So what do you do? And we kind of hit a rut with things, and then we started to see a couple years ago, shout out Mayo Bowl. Mayo Bowl kind of blew up because after the Mayo Bowl, the winning coach would get, instead of the Gatorade bath, would get mayo dumped all over them, which is a weirdly unpleasing, visceral vision. But look, I'm not the marketing director, and it seemed to work because people at least talked about it, which was the goal, because no one talked about the Mayo Bowl. No one cares. It's like, it's usually like the number 5 or 6 ACC team against, like, I want to say an American Conference team. Could be Sun Belt. So, people talking about the Mayo Bowl is a good thing unless something bad happened. And then last year happens. And for those of you who are unaware of this, congratulations for not being online. Because the Pop-Tarts Bowl becomes a thing. And the whole time they had a Pop-Tart mascot. And he was funny. He had like little signs and he did little bits throughout it. And there was like videos of him dancing on the sideline. I think he was like dancing with a cop at one point, which is funny. And then, at the end of the game, they kind of built up this acquaintance between him and the crowd and the audience watching at home. But, we don't know what this is. What is this? And then at the end of the game, for like when they're going to do the trophy presentation, I guess, because there was always a trophy at the bowl games, they bring out a giant Pop-Tarts toaster and the mascot is on top of it, and he had like a sign about like his dream coming true, goodbye, and he lowers into the toaster, and then out from the bottom comes an actual massive Pop-Tart, because that's what he is. And they were like, he's dead, we toasted him, eat of him. Like he's pastry Jesus, shout out Catholics. Friend? What? Broke the internet. Did not matter what was happening. That day, it didn't matter who the president was. I'll tell you that much. Didn't matter what was going on. Doesn't matter about LeBron's legacy. We're talking Pop-Tart, okay? It was like immediately put out that Pop-Tarts Bowl's back next year. It better be. We're this close to revolution as a society. You better bring the Pop-Tart Bowl back. It's back, baby. And in case you missed it, the Pop-Tarts Bowl delivered. First of all, it's in Orlando, which is the right location for the Pop-Tart Bowl. It has to be Florida. You can't put this in California. We're not doing that. Can't put it in Phoenix. We need some humidity, dude. We need it to be sticky out for the Pop-Tart Bowl to work. Pop-Tarts Bowl announces there will be 3 mascots next year. Little nervous about it. And for those of you looking, by the way, this is the Pop-Tart being eaten. It's horrific, which is amazing. Even that headline, by the way, backing up right quick, from the New York Times, Pop-Tarts and Duke's Mayo Bowl dominate college bowl season. You're right, they did. Who dominated the college playoffs this year? I don't care. The Pop-Tart did. So they go 3 mascots. I'm like, all right, might be reaching a little bit. What are we doing here? As we get closer to this date, they reveal the fact, and this is getting back to Indy Ball, I promise you, ride with me, we're getting there, that there will be 3 mascots, and the winning team, I think the MVP, will get to select the flavor of Pop-Tart. There was like 3 flavors represented by each mascot that will be killed and eaten like a sacrifice. They make the MVP of this thing. This was unspoken, but it is what they did. Some sort of ritualistic king deciding who the sacrifice to the gods is. That is what happened here. Aztecs would be proud. It might not be Aztecs. I don't know that one. I don't know that history, but we're in it. Also, the trophy. Now an actual toaster. Love that. Like a working toaster. This was, if you're looking, this was the old one. I believe this is the new one, actual working toaster. Love that. The bowl happens. Not only does it go off amazingly, not only are there Pop-Tart antics, not only do they have little sprinkles along the white painted sideline to look like the top of like the sprinkle Pop-Tart, they bring back in a sort of weird Jesus resurrection moment. Do we have a Pop-Tart god now, actually? Now I'm thinking about it. They bring him back, rising above. And in a weird way, this is a deep dive. There was like years ago on Fox, like a live passion play they did. And at the end, like Jesus is coming back on Easter. It's like Jesus, and he's like on top of a building in like Hollywood, Nashville, wherever they filmed it. It feels like a Nashville thing. On top of it with like a spotlight on him. And it was the same energy for the Pop-Tart here. And if you're looking at the screen, you could tell. I mean, his face is still all ripped off. It's insane because they eat icing first because beautiful. Of course they would. They're college kids. So they just rip the icing part off, which was his face. But he's back and he's like celebrating. Everyone's like, this is amazing. End of the game. They sacrifice and eat another Pop-Tart. It was beautiful. Cinnamon roll Pop-Tart ends up winning. They also did like an unveiling of what the flavors were. Fun. Let's get to baseball. All of this to say, the number of times that I hear from indie ball teams and front offices and whatever else that, well, it is what it is, or it's not a baseball town, or, well, you know, there's a limited market for something. I urge them to think about the Pop-Tarts Bowl, right? It is unbelievable to think about the fact that this has become a discussion point in this country. And football is huge in America, yes. However, when you're looking at it in the market, it is actually fairly similar to indie ball. There is a lot of competition. There are affiliated games for baseball. There is MLB competing with the indie ball scene. If you're the wrong time of year, you could have your local sports college team, whatever. I worked in Lexington, as I've mentioned. We had to deal with horse racing. It was a problem. So, yes, competition heavy. But isn't bowl season the same way? Somebody was unafraid to have an unhinged idea, got a little wacky with it, and it became must watch. The championship game I'll watch. I usually don't even stick around for the trophy presentation. I get the point. It's over. We're moving on. ADHD society for an ADHD guy. I missed the game this year. I was out. I was mad that I missed the Pop-Tart Bowl. And people were saying they were tuning in specifically to watch the trophy presentation because they knew there was going to be a chosen and sacrificed Pop-Tart. How many times have you thought about Pop-Tart recently that wasn't bowl game related? That's brilliant. There's always a creative route. It's understanding the market. Somebody understood that there's a weird, ironic, somewhat morbid cultural moment happening here, and we can all kind of get on board with it, and it's funny, and there's a good virality to it, and we'll share it, and we'll talk about it. And college football and the holidays and all this stuff, it's good overlap to get maybe some people you wouldn't normally get to, and sharing it and showing videos and all that. It's brilliant. It's understanding that to stick out in a competitive market, you have to do something. Have they, and because I want to draw the Savannah Bananas parallel, because Savannah Bananas did the same thing. They did it in Gastonia first, different conversation. And everyone will go, yeah, well, bananas aren't baseball. Pop-Tarts Bowl never touched the on-field product. Bananas back in the day did not touch the on-field product either. They made it fun and silly, but it was still baseball in the coastal plains. The lesson that we should all be taking collectively before we start to go, well, ticket sales are down, well, what do you expect? Yada, is maybe have conversations about what are we willing to do and try that is of perhaps some minimal risk to the brand that will at least generate conversation and get things a little bit crazy and draw attention. And I haven't seen viewership numbers. I would assume the Pop-Tarts Bowl was not as viewed year one as year two, because year one people didn't even know. But the thing is, you can do something fun and exciting and draw people in, and all of a sudden they're seeing what the product looks like when they might not have before, right? There's probably people who only watched one bowl game this year, and it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Silly. What? If you were doing something fun and different and enjoyable, and you're showing people that you're enjoying it, that's the thing. You can tell Pop-Tarts loves this. And that's fun. If people walk in your ballpark or look at your streaming service, unlikely, Flow, let's be honest, and can see that you are having fun and you care and you want them to enjoy it and you are thinking about things and being creative and actively putting energy into it, they will be excited to be involved, and they will at least leave with a good taste in their mouth. Maybe not the taste of Pop-Tart, but you know what I'm saying. The theory again being, if you can put that forward, because the number one thing I hear is somebody who's more baseball operations oriented is that winning baseball games does not sell tickets. I can agree. I think only 5% of people really come for the quality of baseball. But and by the way, on-field product's important because nobody wants to go to the game. It's hard to do the Pop-Tarts Bowl when the game is unwatchable, right? Talking about that Cleveland game last year where it was all those walks. So it's important. Gary, it was a Gary game. Let's call it what it is. It is important, yes, to balance the on-field product with like the energy and marketing, the creativity. If you are getting consistently mediocre results, if you're even getting consistently good results, I encourage people to take the shot at doing something crazy and weird. That's all. And if your indie ball team of choice is not doing it, feel free to suggest something weird. Why not? Whatever. Throw it out there. Maybe they should have their own Pop-Tarts game. That's what I'm saying. This has already gone too long. I don't know who this is for, really. If you're here, you're a weirdo and a sicko, and I love you, and you're perfect. And you'll probably be like, I'll follow Pop-Tarts Bowl conversation into an indie ball marketing conversation. Sure. And for that, thank you. I'll be back tomorrow with something newsy. We'll do some actual news tomorrow. How about that? All right. Bye.